So this week, according to the government, is Education Week. And you've got to remember, this is a Conservative government that claims it loves education. It wants more people in education. But there's always a but when it comes to talking about Tory policy or when they talk about things regarding this. Where's the policy? Where are the people going to university? What have they done for young people to go to university? What have they, achieved in achieving that aim? If they care about education so much, why have we seen time and time again them do everything the exact opposite? And it is generally true that the Tory party say one thing and then do something completely different. And I really, really, really want to highlight something that Keir Starmer has said, because I think this just goes to show you how bad the Tories have screwed up a generational opportunity that was built by Labour under Tony Blair and was going to be continued by Gordon Brown, of course, until the 2008 financial crash happened, and it sort of scuppered their plans a bit. But we'll get on to talking more about that in a bit. But before we do go on into talking about that and everything else, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button, and of course, leave a comment down below as well. And of course, there are things down in the box below me, the Patreon page, the Buy Me a Coffee link, the YouTube thank you button, and of course, the Pony Club as well. So, what are we talking about today? Well, Tony Blair's infamous, much quoted speech, and he was right on, and this put very, very a lot of good outcomes for Labour. This was his infamous speech where he went, it's all about education, education, education. And the plan was for Blair and Brown that they were going to send more people to university than ever before. They planned for this, and they even went, you know what, university tuition fees going to be capped at £1,000. So if you went to university, like when I did, you were paying what, 2-3 grand for your tuition fees. Of course, you've got accommodation, extra stuff on top of that. So it was, to be honest, very, very good. And it wasn't just young people that took advantage of this. It was a lot of other people who did not go to university when they were younger. Maybe they went in their later 20s or maybe in their early 30s when they went to do this. So this built up a very, very well-educated, very ambitious, growing crop of young people going out and really boosting the economy. And Blair and Brown's plan was to, once they had started to achieve this, they would then start to turn their attention into really sorting out the economy. The only thing happened, the bad thing that happened, was the 2008 financial crash. And that sort of upended the whole apple cart, shall you say, of their plans. And of course, at the time, Brown went, look, we know we're going through this crisis. And to be honest, Brown does not get the credit, I think, that is probably due to him for steering this country through the 2008 financial crisis. Because you've only got to look at what happened in the aftermath of 2008. Yes, it was very, very bad. And we came out of it worse, but not as bad as it could have been. It could have been a lot worse compared to the crises that we've been through now. Not only has the UK just not recovered, it's not even back where it was before the pre-pandemic or the mini, fiscal event of the year caused by Liz Truss. So ultimately, unfortunately, they lost that general election. In came the, the Conservative Liberal Democrat coalition. And it really went downhill from there because they had a genuinely good opportunity that you had this massive, well-educated workforce that was coming in to a lot of the workplaces and wanted these high-end, high-paying jobs. But in order to do that, you would have to really invest in the economy to really get those jobs. And that's what the Conservatives did not do. They squandered that opportunity. They could have reaped a ton of labor benefits, but they didn't. In fact, they made things even worse. They increased the cap on tuition fees. So now it's even more expensive to go to university. And even though Keir Starmer has dropped scrapping tuition fees, in a way, I think he's right. I think he said, look, we've got to look at the economic situation of the country. And maybe at the moment we can't afford to scrap tuition fees. And I know that's bad. I would love to see tuition fees scrapped. But sometimes I'm afraid he's right. Maybe you've got to look at the economy first and see where things are going. But I think his response into what was the Tory Education Week is absolutely fantastic. So this is what he had to say. So there wasn't any spare money knocking around to fund me going to Leeds. I worked before. I went and I got on by grants as many young people do. And I vividly remember carefully calculating rent, bills, and food. Going to Leeds to study was a turning point for me. It will be a deep betrayal if one of the legacies of this Tory government is universities, apprenticeships, and skills becoming the preserve of the wealthy. And that is something we must fight against. You cannot allow this absolute gold mine, this opportunity to go to university, to learn new skills, to get an apprenticeship, to be the domain of the wealthy, because that only damages your economic potential of your country. And that seems to be a legacy that the Tories seem to be trying to build. But he also went on to this. So, that ambitions and successful students are now making decisions about their next steps based on cost and their financial means should shame the Conservatives. Tory economic failure is choking off the dreams of the next generations, and it is a deep betrayal of aspirational Britain. Talent and aspiration should drive young people. And that, I have to say, him saying that is a fantastic message, because that is what should be the driving point. And it should be the government to be able to enable them to grasp and grab those talents and that aspiration for those young people. And that, to be honest, is fantastic. And I will say this now, Keir Starmer, certainly a better public speaker than Rishi Sunak. Absolutely. We're going to see that come the campaigning election time. And sometimes he comes out with really good stuff like that. Talent aspiration should drive young people, not the affordability of rent or soaring food prices. I can't disagree with that. That is an amazing statement. I think it goes to show you what I am very, very hopeful for, that you are going to get a very progressive group in Parliament, and that Keir Starmer is a lot more progressive than I think people give him credit for. But back to it. So he also had this to say. I vividly remember the excitement of moving to Leeds to study law. It was a financial stretch then, and if I were a student today, I would not be able to go. I think that sums it up. Really, I think he's got the right message there. I really think he does. We need to make university more affordable and more attainable for everyone. The universities should not be a domain for wealthy people. Everyone should have the right and the capability and the means to go to get an education, because it only improves the future of your entire economy. And barring access, or having like a wealth bar, shall we say, to clear to be able to do that, well, that harms the entire economy. And bear in mind, this fits entirely with the current state of the Tory party. They are all about short-term gains, short-term wins, and they're all about, as always, those short-term wins, short-term games. They cannot even think long-term. Bear in mind, they've been in power 13 years, and not one policy the Tories have ever really put forward has been long-term. It has always been short-term, quick wins, quick gains. And if it doesn't work, well, drop it. We cannot afford to continue with this absolutely shambolic government, and they've been in power, to be honest, far, far too long. So, I always say this at the end of videos when we do like this. Please, please, please do look into tactical voting in your area and do what you can on election day when it comes around, because it's coming. It's coming. But remember, do what you can on election day and vote the Tories out, because they do not deserve to be anywhere near the ship of state for quite some considerable time. And even then, there should be a lot of questions asked. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.